Hello, you're right. Welcome to our second lesson of analysis of Macbeth. We're going to be looking at Act 1, Scene 3 today, where Macbeth meets the witches. So you're going to need a pen, your copy of Macbeth if you have it, and a printout of the extracts. You can do it with just the extracts if needed, and you can work off a screen with the extracts if you don't have access to a printer. But ideally, print them out and stick them in your books. So your title is Act 1, Scene 3, Macbeth meets the witches. So get all that stuff together, get the title in your book and underlined and so on, and then we'll move on. Right, we're going to do now is we're going to do it's 2 slides, a review of Acts 1, Scenes 1 and 2. So I don't need to read that out. I'll put the answers up. If you stop the presentation or the video or however it is you're watching this there, do the questions and then the answers would appear as if you move forward on the right hand side in red. And here's Act 1, Scene 2 review. Same thing there. Just you don't need to write down all the questions on either of these. Just look at them and then write your answers. And then, as I say, stop the presentation video, however it is that you're looking at it, and then move forward when you've done it, and the answers would appear on the right in red. The big questions we're looking at today, these are the things that we want to understand by the end of the lesson. What do the witches tell Macbeth and Banquo? And what do we learn about Macbeth and Banquo's characters from their reaction to the witches? Write those 2 big questions into your books, please, and then on to the next slide. Now, if you can, I want you to read the whole of Act 1, Scene 3. It's moderately long, but if you can do. If not, I've attached an attachment of the parts that we're going to need for the rest of the lesson today on class charts there. So what's going to happen is the witches gather and boast of their evil deeds. Macbeth and Banquo encounter them and they address Macbeth as Thane of Cawdor and as the future king. They also declare that Banquo will not be king, but his descendants will be. The witches disappear despite Macbeth's pleas for more information. Wrath and Angus arrive and inform Macbeth that he is now the Thane of Cawdor. But Banquo and Macbeth are stunned by this confirmation of part of the witch's prophecy. Macbeth muses to himself on his ambition to be king, which has been strengthened by these events. So read all of Act 1, Scene 3 if you can. If not, just look at the printout that I've given you of the most important parts. Using the attachment that has the most important parts on it, you can answer these questions. You don't need to write answers to them all, but what you do need to do is sum up your understanding of the scene in no more than 5 sentences, and you're going to need to include something from at least 4 of the questions above to do that. Now, on the handout that I've given you, it contains all of these quotes. The quotes obviously are in red, so you need to highlight it and annotate it, in light of what's come after the quote there. So question number 1 there, look, so foul and fair a day I have not seen. Why do you think Macbeth's first line mirrors that of the witches in Act 1, Scene 1? What does this tell you about him? Now, if you think about that, why Macbeth, we know him as this valiant soldier, everyone thinks he's fantastic. And we've talked about how the witches talk in trochaic tetrameter and couplets, which separates them from the rest of the verse, the iambic verse. This adds to their sort of supernatural feel. Why do you think Shakespeare has made Macbeth's first line mirror the first line of the witches? And I'll tell you why. It's because he's slipping to the dark side. The witches represent the dark side. They're evil, and he's starting to speak and think like them, and that's Shakespeare's intention by doing that. So you need to find that quote and annotate it to that effect, and annotate it in light of what the black writing is telling you to do. So you've got the rest of those to do there. Onward with that, and then on to the next slide. Now, reviewing the big questions at the end of the lesson there, what do the witches tell Macbeth and Banquo? write a short response to that. What do we learn about Macbeth and Banquo's characters from their reaction to the witches? You know, Macbeth's all sort of caught up in it all, isn't he, and thinks marvellous. Banquo has actually what could be argued is a better offer. You know, he's not going to be king, but his children are. So that arguably is a better offer. It's certainly one that upsets Macbeth later in the play. But he reacts in a much more sort of mature way. You know, his view is very much that this is a little bit too good to be true. Anyway, so write answers to both of those questions, just a few lines in each, with some evidence to support if you can, and then we'll go on to the next slide. So well done, Year 8. Not too much of the verse getting read in that lesson, but I think in terms of character development from Macbeth and Banquo and what the witches represent and so on, and you know, the beginning of Macbeth's downward slide into sort of supernaturalness, into evil, I guess. We've covered some ground there, so well done. Upload your work to class charts. I loved reading it last time. You're really doing some fantastic work. Some of you are going to, you know, really going the extra mile. So well done those people. Well done everybody, but particularly well done those people. You know who you are because I've written in your class charts. Anyway, I will speak to you next time. Thank you very much, Year 8.